I'm Raina Harper, and welcome to EveRe-Watch Way, where I podcast a spell that takes a hold of you. For the show where I reminisce and recap the Nickelodeon fantasy series Every Which Way. We cover each episode of the show here, and I go into detail on everything relating to what happens in the show, what I remember from keeping up with it in 2014 and 15, and all the fun knowledge and commentary I can bring in with it. Today, I have an extra special friend here, my friend Steve. Welcome.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Man, I'm so grateful for you taking the time and for indulging me in a way.
Yeah, this is my first time watching one of these shows, and
Every which way, yes.
yeah, I'm glad that I got to watch it with you.
Yeah. I, as usual with my guests here, I've been sort of throwing people in the deep end, except for a few others who have taken like watched a few episodes earlier to get context. But it's always a joy for me, and it's yet to be seen whether it was enjoyable for my other person here. I'd love to ask first off, when I told you about Every Which Way and gave you a bit of info about it, what was your impression of what it would be? Did you think you would enjoy it, and did you end up finding it enjoyable?
Well, I didn't not enjoy it, but I was a little bit lost. You had told me a little bit about it sort of being a high school telenovela, and where revolving around sort of a Sabrina the Witch type premise, yeah. And so that's all I knew going in, and then the episode starts and they're coming through a wall with smoke, and I don't know who's who, and so it was like trying to run after a bullet train, because there was certainly a lot going on that I didn't know about.
Yeah, but gratefully they did at least with the style of the show of it being very tropey and very archetypal. You can at least pick up in dialogue oh, I am this character, and this is what's happening. There is a portal to the magical world here.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that the scene or the location is the classic by the lockers in a high school hallway, which is everywhere. So it was comfortable in that sense. Okay, this is high school. There's going to be boys and girls. There's going to be mean girls and nice girls and different cliques and all
love
this.
triangles and whatnot.
Exactly, 14-year-old love triangles.
And
right?
classically, they're at a preppy private school.
Exactly, with orange and blue uniforms, and looks like they've had somebody in the prop room quickly sew a patch on. It looks. I was also, when you said it was Nickelodeon, I think I was thinking a little bit more polished.
And also you thought that it would have a laugh track, didn't you?
Yeah. I was gonna say I thought Nickelodeon. And I don't know if that's owned by Disney these days or whatever, but I was thinking it might have been a little higher production value.
Sure.
I could literally hear that they were in a studio. I could hear the echo, and so I thought, oh, this is kind of low budget, and that was surprising to me. Yeah, it almost seemed like watching a play put on by freshmen in high school,
or a cheap sketch comedy show.
Yeah, something like that. So and then you educated me that it's telenovela, and that's why there's no laugh track, but there's clearly opportunities to have laugh track. And I also felt like it was moving quickly, jumping from scenes to scenes. All of a sudden there's a guy playing guitar, and
yeah, every scene is super short,
and the transition, there's no laugh track or any sort of delay getting to the next scene. It's
pretty strange.
It moves quickly. That doesn't help the person dropping in on whatever season we're on and whatever episode we're on. I didn't have any background of any of this.
Yeah, and we'll give our impressions on each moment, because there are strange things about every scene, and that's why I take such copious notes. I don't want to miss anything. And there are loads of odd things, as I said, that especially as a young person watching it originally, stuck in my mind. Oh, why is the show like this? And like why? Oh my God! There's one particular bit coming up. I won't say what it is right now, but you can infer Steve in the room right now. But I'll get to it quickly. So we start off so every episode begins from a cliffhanger that the previous episode ended off with, where you like, and like it starts exactly where the previous one ended. So Nurse Lily was needing to visit in order to help Emma visit the Witches' Council, like go to the higher ups, the magical elders for guidance and backup on helping Emma, protecting her, leading up to the eclipse, which is when other witches will try and steal her powers.
And there's nothing about Nurse Lily that would identify her as a nurse of any sort, right?
I mean,
like there's no uniform or anything like this.
There's a scene later where she's wearing like a white.
Yeah, later, but I remember I just jumped into this. All of a sudden, she's coming out of a smoking locker, and then I'm like, okay,
or going into it rather,
or going into it. Sorry, yeah. So it's interesting. Like if you're gonna have the person be the nurse, it kind of look probably would. Maybe nurses don't dress like they did when I was in grade school and high school. Yeah, who knows?
Or I don't think she was on duty right then.
Oh, maybe that was it. Okay.
Yeah. But they need to deal with the principal. They know that the principal is the major threat at the moment, who's wanting to take the chosen one's power as Emma. But as we found out earlier, she's also a chosen one, which is kind of confusing. So like it's explained earlier that she's like a previous chosen one. So like there's a chosen one of every generation, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
a little confusing.
But they're like, later there's a hilarious bit where they're like, there can only be one chosen one, hence the name Chosen One.
Right, yep.
But so Lily is like, I need to go get help. This is a full-scale emergency. We need the magical elders' help.
Yep.
And she tells Andy, like, I need you to, to hold the fort while I'm gone. Be a guardian, but I'm not going to give you any tools to help. You're a non-witch who has no tools or anything, but you have to hold the fort.
Right, yep.
And Andy is like complaining, like, can't I at least have some gadgets? Or can I be a guardian that like can visit the Witches' Council or set up a portal?
Yeah.
Also, she explains, like, you can set up a portal anywhere. And so she put it in the lockers at the school. And then Andy is like, ooh, when I become a guardian, I'm going to put it at the bottom of the swimming pool. And then I'm going to have it be at the bottom of the diving board so I can dive into it. And then Lily deflates her, like, no, non-witches can't have a portal. Dang it.
So all this magic and these powers that the witches have, Lily still ends up texting her friend.
Oh, Andy.
Andy ends up texting her friend, and why is she saying the text out loud?
Yeah, when we were watching it, I asked you, like, do you or have you ever heard anyone like text with their speak what they're texting out loud, like going to the store?
No, it's inherently a private thing, a silent thing. Yeah.
And like even though she was in a room by herself, like we need backup from the evil witch. Right,
within earshot of the person they're texting about.
Well, she doesn't know that, but also like that's weird. Like you don't like I am like because like when you're in an empty room, you're like self-conscious of the fact that someone could be walking up or listening.
Yeah, and it was about this time where all of a sudden all that's going on and the text is being read aloud. And then,
evil shadow.
And then ominous shadow, and that obviously was one take, and then all of a sudden there's some guy playing guitar on stage who I don't know who it is, and it's just kind of hurried, it seemed.
Yeah, Andy feels the shadow, screams at the sight of the principal, like, and the principal's there, like, crossing her arms, like, what's going on? Smiles. I'm ready to pounce on this. Cut to the 7, this restaurant that everyone hangs out at.
Is that what it was? It was a restaurant?
Yeah.
I thought it was like the high school auditorium or something.
It's like a local hangout.
But that's the thing. Like if they're gonna do these cuts or these transitions, you would expect them to spend the extra
second to do an establishing shot.
Exactly. Of exactly. All of a sudden it was just the next pixel is this guy on stage, and there's no context, there's no transition.
Like 2 seconds of exterior of building.
Simple, $38 to do that.
Or I'm sure, like, I know for a fact that they like have footage of the exterior of this place, like that they've had in other episodes. Just put a 2-second thing.
So is that editing's issue, or is that the director's issue, or who messed that up?
I mean, the director of the episode, or like the higher ups, should have like caught that, or like had the insight to put that in.
Or was it there and they had to trim it for time because they get 22 minutes?
I mean that's really cutting to the bone if you can't afford to put a 2-second establishing shot.
Seems like it, but any port in a storm, I guess. So like, we need to shave 8 seconds. Okay, all transitions gone.
Yeah, done.
Yep.
So Daniel is setting up his guitar on stage. They're like setting up like a whole band or like extra like musical accompaniment like on an amplifier or whatever, but it like gives a bunch of feedback.
Yeah, from the microphone. Yeah.
So
people are holding their ears and screaming like they're being tortured. Yeah.
And then Tony's like, all right, I give up. Daniel, you just perform your acoustic guitar. And then Daniel is like, here's the songs I've been working on, and it's about I'm feeling nervous. Like he doesn't like properly introduce it. He's like, I'll just play it. And then he starts singing his romantic song. What did you think of the song and his performance?
Lip syncing. It was clearly, you could actually hear the low budget sound of the studio, like of the studio where the scene is being shot, and then that all fades away, and then we cut in with the song. So the whole quality of the audio changes. So that's your first clue, and it's obviously quite more engineered of a song than just some kid in a restaurant strumming a guitar.
Yeah. And it sounds like very different.
Very produced.
Source. But I think he has a decent voice personally.
Oh yeah. I don't really recall much about the song other than it was slow ballad and
it's called Everything About You.
Everything About You. Okay, so he's clearly singing it to somebody in the audience, but I didn't know all those dynamics.
And both Emma and Maddie think it's about them, but it's about Emma because clearly he like in the next scene he lets Maddie down gently.
Which one's Emma?
She's the one with like the flowery like bandana and.
Okay. Yep.
Maddie's the blonde.
Is she a witch?
Yeah, they're both witches.
Is the singer, the guy doing the guitar, is he a witch also?
No. He has no knowledge of magic.
Okay.
So he's like caught in the middle of two witches unknowingly.
Okay.
And so he sings a song, looking in your eyes, everything seems right, yeah. And then no one applauds after he's done.
Right.
Everyone just looks on and like their admiration.
No laugh track, no applause, like quite.
Just a long pause.
Yeah. It just leaves you wondering, like, is he going into another verse? What's going on?
Like pause. Scene transition.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly where it transitioned to, but you probably have it in your notes.
It's Emma clearly gets Daniel's energy directed towards her, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But Maddie is like, oh yes, it's about me. Yes, wave.
Yeah.
But then after the song ends, Daniel brings Maddie home, and she's like, oh yes, that was so great when you rotated my umbrella for me today. And yeah, we'll do another, we'll go out to like next week and we'll do this again, blah, blah, blah. And Daniel's like, I don't want to go out with you anymore, actually. I'm not going to lead you on.
Yeah, but that was weird because all of a sudden the transition and they're standing in
her house.
In the house and her face is starting to glow red with some cheap effects, and I have no idea why. I thought maybe she was like doing some spell or
he let her down, and then she got angry, and that's how her magic like manifested.
Oh, I thought that she would got sunburned at the beach or something.
No, that was just to show like, oh my god, I'm so angry, I'm like it could blow up. Yeah.
So is that one of the magic things that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's associated with her magic, but it's not like something she's doing consciously.
But it's noticeable by others.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and he was like,
and he doesn't know she's a witch.
Right.
So he
was extra
strange skin reaction. Okay.
So he was like, "Whoa, you're really red, like fire engine red," and she's just like,
mm-hmm.
and like she like her face turns bright red, and it, like she's not containing like how mad she is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to go out with you.
Like, yeah.
And that's definitely validating.
She's like a teapot about to blow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense now. At the time, I was like, did she get sunburned? Did she have an allergic reaction? I had no idea.
Yeah. And so he's like, I'm gonna leave now. Bye.
Yeah.
I'll let you cool off.
Right.
And then her mom comes downstairs and is like, "Oh, Maddie, how was your day?" Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty funny. And like actual smoke is coming off her by that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty funny. So meanwhile, Andy is being confronted by the principal. So, Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Andy is short for, as you may have guessed. So what's going on? How do you know about witches? I know about witches because I'm a guardian.
Mm-hmm.
She bluffs and is like, you better stand back or I'll guardify you.
Right. Yeah.
And then the principal says, no, you're not. You can smell a witch a mile away, and you just smell like car oil and sweat.
Right. Yeah. And she
like,
takes it as a compliment.
Yes. She's a tomboy. You get it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
And if you don't tell me what I want to know, I'll turn you into a frog. And Andy does a great bit where she's like, "Wait, no, you're turning me into a frog? Oh, I see. You're lowballing me. Why don't you turn me into a saber-toothed tiger or a polar bear or a saber-toothed polar tiger bear?"
Yeah, she's trying to delay getting this curse by
you also get the sense that she's talked about before, like, "Oh, you should turn me into the coolest animal that there is, like turn me into a saber-toothed polar tiger bear."
Yeah. And that's what's weird. It's like, how powerful are these witches? Can they do anything they want, or do they have a limited set of? Well, maybe that comes later in the story. I don't know.
Could you turn someone into like an animal hybrid?
Or do you only get one choice, and it's like frog or prince? I don't know.
Yeah. But so then Andy runs her mouth about negotiations. Like, "Oh, I'll just okay. You're not responding to that offer."
And my father says it's just a jumping off point for a negotiation, and like she's kind of into it.
I could just be I'll jump down a level to maybe a wolf owl hybrid.
Right, exactly.
And the principal's just annoyed, like, "Shut up! Tell me what I want to know." Like, and casts a warning shot, which
she's got like the laser beam, like witch power in her palm, like ready to strike.
And the effect of it is like it's like moving around oddly in her hand, and you can tell that like someone was really struggling trying to make it look right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And like I sympathize with those visual effects artists, especially because they probably weren't paid a whole lot. Like, because they're like, "Oh, I better like make it move behind her fingers or whatever, or in front," and like because her hands is like moving around and rotating constantly. It's got to be pretty difficult. I've been in that situation before for projects of like trying to animate something like around someone's fingers and like behind, and it's tough. And like you have to do it frame by frame. And and so the principal cast a warning shot at Andy, and it gives her webbed hands.
Right.
Like, this is a taste of what being a frog will be like.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy's like, whoa, cool.
Right. Yeah. And you can tell that they're just a pair of
like
tan
latex.
gloves. Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
But
And like over her hands, like skin color.
yeah.
And it's like, whoa. It like spreads her hand, like fingers and hands apart. And it's like, whoa, cool. I can swim so much faster now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Which annoys the principal even more. It's like, but meanwhile, the Hexering, the magic spell book.
Oh my goodness.
I want you to commentate on this.
Oh my goodness. That was the lowest level special effect I've ever seen. That's when the book was seen outside of the window and it was on a string clearly. Mm-hmm. And they tried to make it look like it was hovering and flying around. Horrible. And so low budget. And then and then this flimsy looking thing that you see hanging on a string with absolutely no mass to it somehow ends up in the hallway.
Oh, well, like inside Emma's house.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then it all of a sudden has great velocity and mass and knocks the principal down.
Oh, wait. Before we get
Am
to
I
that,
missing something?
It shows up in Emma's house first.
Right.
So, and then it's like
then it ends up in the school hallway.
It's like shows up and like, Emma, you gotta come with me. Like I'm directing you somewhere.
Right.
But Emma doesn't like pick up on it. It's like, well, where are you going, book? Hexerin? And it flies out the window, and you gotta look at, well, you saw like the windowsill and then the fence outside.
Right.
And it was clearly like a studio.
Right.
And it just looks very odd.
Yeah, but am I right in remembering? I mean, you've seen the episode probably, I don't know, 10 times. I've seen it once, but didn't the book end up in the hallway?
It was right after this, yeah.
Right. Okay, and then the book did like all of a sudden fly and like knock the principal over.
Yes.
So this flimsy little thing.
But first, a couple more jokes before I get to that.
Oh, we're getting real like specific about exactly what happens first, second, third, fourth. Sorry.
Well, I just want to, because there are so many odd things that I gotta talk about. I don't want to miss anything. But so like so the principal is like threatening Andy. Where is the council? And then Andy tries to stall again. Oh, you mean the student council?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's down the hall where you take a left and then a right and then another right. And then the spell's about to happen. Like I've had enough with you. And then cast a spell, and then you can say what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Two things that I remember. The book suddenly like gets some mass to it and flies over and knocks the principal all the way down to the ground.
Yeah.
And then it drops to the ground where
and
I thought
she was like, oh my god, Hexerin!
Yeah, then it allowed Andy, right? Am I got to write it? To like jump on it and ride it like a skateboard.
A hoverboard.
But it's such a flimsy little prop they don't even show her standing on it.
Except on a green screen.
Yeah, and then they just cut like her legs out of the scene and show her like doing a skateboard move, moving across the room, and it's going so slow. Like, why she could have moved faster without it to escape. I didn't understand like how it was helping her escape. Like why she needed what was the artistic and directorial choice to say, I want you to stand on this and ride it like a skateboard, but you're going to go slower than you could walking. That didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I guess it was supposed to be a hovercraft or something, but But you don't have to like.
But also,
you don't have to like use your leg like a skateboard to push a hovercraft.
And also, like, what's the point of a hovercraft if you're inside and you can't like fly up? You know. Yeah,
it was just odd choices. It didn't add anything to the magic of being a witch to get on a slow moving book that you have to push yourself that goes slower than walking
or running rather.
Or even walking. It was so slow. Go back and look at it.
Sure. But even funnier to my mind is the way that the principal runs after her. Like, and she like grimaces like, and like runs with her arms super close to her chest.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then she jumps at Andy, like it's supposed to be like a jump and like grab and near miss, but instead she like belly flops onto the ground.
Yeah.
While Andy is like 20 feet ahead of her.
Yeah, she almost, instead of jumping forward, it looks like she just like jumps up and then down
and like belly flopped.
Yeah. It was.
There was no point to that.
No. It would have been more believable that she was giving a hard effort if they just showed her running down the hallway. Instead, they stopped it all, inserted this scene of her diving towards her, but it wasn't diving towards her. It was just jumping up in the air and landing on your belly.
And I got the sense that like ahead of her, like when the belly flop happened, that it like showed like her like going from left to right on the screen, and I think there was supposed to be like a Andy green screened in on top of the book, like floating a few feet ahead.
Right.
Maybe they just forgot to do that.
Right, or ran out. They had to cut it.
Yeah.
They're like, get rid of all transitions.
Yeah.
And that whole scene, just show the principal belly flopping.
Yeah, we need to keep this in.
Right, this got to stay. This is high level.
Yeah, and then so Andy gets away, and the principal is like, drat.
And what would this is another thing. What would the principal have done if she did catch her?
Well,
are they gonna like
turn her into a frog? I guess.
Like, well, why can't she do that from a distance? So
I know, right?
Why did she stop short of it earlier?
Why did you have to run after her?
Why can't you just like have the
like she was still
power come out of your palm like it did earlier?
She was moving away, as you say, very slowly in her sight, so she could still just.
This wasn't a high-speed chase.
No, but scene transition to Maddie's house. She's in her room feeling all.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's like some girl getting out of bed being sassy to her mom. I'm like, I don't understand.
Yeah, and her mom is like, I have a realization, Maddie. I'm your guardian. Like, and well, yeah, you're her legal guardian.
Mm-hmm.
And Maddie gives a hilarious, like, sarcastic response, like, woohoo.
And it's so cliche. You've got the teen girl like being sassy and pissy to her mom.
Yeah.
It's you see that everywhere in film, and maybe that does happen in a lot of households, but it was. I don't know what it added to the story, but I guess it showed her to be an unruly teen, I guess, that where the mom had to tell her, I'm a guardian, so I'm going to start guarding you. Rather
like magically guarding.
Right, exactly. It was interesting.
Guardifying, sorry.
Yeah, guardifying. Guardianing, yeah.
And, but her mom was like, no, I take glee in, like, putting you down as well. Like, I'm telling you what to do, because I'm your mother.
Mm-hmm.
And Maddie is like, I just want to sleep. And mom says, no, you have to practice magic now.
Mm.
But Maddie's like, what's the point? Like, things have been going bad for me. She does the arson, murder, and jaywalking thing, you know what I mean? Where she's like, I lost the book, I had no plan for stealing powers, and Daniel dumped me.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, first serious thing, second serious thing, third very, very silly thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Ursula then fires her up with the promises that when you become the chosen one, you'll be able to make 100 Daniels. Don't even worry about Daniel now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you will be the chosen one, Maddie. They like get close and like all smiley, like yes, yes. And then you will give me powers. Mm-hmm. What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to like pump up Maddie for her benefit.
Yeah.
But she's such like a narcissist. Like, you'll give me powers.
Yeah, and there was a good punchline at the end of that scene. You want to cover that?
Together we will rule North Miami.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And I were like, well, that's funny that she's not shooting any higher than that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like in Phineas and Ferb, Doofenshmirtz just wants to rule the tri-state area.
Yeah. And then this, I don't remember where it went next, but what are your notes?
So cut to Diego in the hallway.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Diego is like, why is everyone focusing on me all of a sudden? Maddie was just suddenly nice to me, but when like Tony's commenting on that, like everyone's suddenly nice to you. And I was like, and he's like, why is everyone suddenly paying attention to me? And Tony's like, everyone? And then Diego opens up his locker, and it turns out Sophie was hiding in there, like ready to spy on him.
Which, of course, not knowing, newbie to the show, never seeing it.
Not knowing who that is.
Don't know, like, who she is, why she's in the locker. Did the mean...
Well, you haven't seen any of these three characters to this point.
No, and all of a sudden there's this... She turned out to be my favorite character.
Yeah. Because of her comedic bit later.
Yeah, she's oddball, but I don't think she's like I don't think she's a witch. I have no idea.
She's not.
But she's got a...
She's just weird.
She's just weird, yeah, but I liked her.
Yeah. And so she was hiding in his locker. And like so meaning that you didn't mind like standing, trapped in the locker for hours on end.
Exactly.
And then she was, and when he
and his reaction is like, oh, hi.
Yeah, because apparently she's been doing that like all week or something.
Okay, I didn't catch that.
And then she's just in there and she's like in good spirits, like hi.
Right.
And then Tony's
stares
like,
at him or something.
Yeah, Tony's like, what's she doing in there? And then Diego, this is one of my favorite jokes. He's like, you don't want to know what she's doing in there. Actually, I don't even know myself.
Right.
And then she gets out, and then she starts like giving him the evil eye, like death glare.
Mm-hmm. Which is strange. I don't know anything about her, and I'm just like, this is odd behavior.
So she's a crony of Maddie, the mean girl. She's like, she's like one of her mean girl clique. The Panthers is what they're called. And definitely not the Plastics from the film Mean Girls. Have you seen that movie?
I have.
So yeah, the Panthers are very clearly like one-to-one rip-off of those characters. Like, the character.
Yeah, I thought there was Mean Girls meets High School Musical meets Glee meets Sabrina meets what's the other one that takes place in the castle?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. I saw like... I'm not like...
Because like the school itself, the exterior looks like a castle-ish.
Yeah, but the uniforms and the ties
that
the guys are wearing, like, it's got all those cliches all wrapped into this. And they thought that'd be enough to tell a cool story, but...
And then the principal calls Diego to the office. Mr. Rueda, please come to the office. And then... And as he walks to the principal's office, Sophie gives him a locked-on stare.
Well, I'm going to stop right here and give some praise and maybe a little...
Yeah? False clap?
A little clap, because there was a transition there.
Yeah.
We knew that what was going to happen is he's going to go to the principal's office, and then there was a little bit of movement towards the principal's office, and then he's in the principal's office. So...
Yeah.
At least, they didn't just splice that right in, and all of a sudden he's in the principal's office, because we would have been equally...
Like, I'm here with Sophie, cut to principal's office.
Right. They had a little transition in the form of the announcement over the PA.
Yeah, and then he, walks in that direction, as we said.
Right. So it's like, okay, well, now I can follow along. It gives the brain a second to turn the page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Which, when in this show, when that's a point of praise, this is we're in a dire place.
Yeah, that's my favorite. Well, Sophie, her oddness is intriguing to me.
Yeah. And
the fact that they had a transition and I could follow along. It was like one time I was like, okay, cool. Like I knew this was gonna happen. Now there's a definition of the space that we're in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the principal, once they're in the office, we transition to the office, and the principal says I called you in here because I know that you're gifted, and he gives the oddest laugh.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It was so funny. And he's like, no, I'm definitely not gifted. I'm in remedial everything, even lunch. And then she's like,
I have to use a spork at lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he's not competent enough to not stab himself with a fork, I guess.
Yeah.
But but she's like, you can do tricks, I've heard. And he's like, oh yeah, I can burp the national anthem.
Right, that's right.
No. I mean that you're a Kanai, which is the son of fire. It's another like type of magical being outside of witches in the show, where they can like control fire and ice, and like we were about to like see him do that in this episode, but like we never get back to that.
So is he a witch?
He's a Kanai.
But that's like special powers.
Yeah.
I don't know what a Kanai is. Okay.
So a Kanai is so Churi Kanai, apparently this was explained in an earlier episode, means son of fire. And,
okay.
And like so he can like freeze water and he can generate fire and control it.
Okay.
And then she cuts to the Kanai chase. I know that you're Kanai, and he's like, oh, you know about that? Yeah. Oh, is that because you're one too? And then she's like, no. And so we're like, okay, there's magical like racism involved.
She doesn't want to be identified as a Kanai.
Like those icky Kanais. Ugh.
Yeah.
And then, but then we see that Sophie is spying on them. Tell us how Sophie is spying on them.
She has painted herself, including her face, to match the sections of the wall, and she's standing against the wall on the other side of the room in plain view.
Yeah.
But feels like she is disguised because, where the wall has like a
beige,
beige on top maybe, and then like a line of wood, and then blue below. So she's
below.
Yeah, and she's painted herself to match
and,
that.
Like, part of her sleeve is brown, like the and then red is her hand. But like her left hand is red, like touching that red part of the wall. But then her right hand is brown.
So you have to suspend disbelief for a second that the principal can't see her because she's so obvious. Yeah.
And but Diego instantly is like, what the hell?
Yeah. So he wants to stand in front of her to disguise her further later on. Yeah.
Because she thinks that she's disguised, but Diego knows that she's like any person who.
Again, my favorite character, Sophie.
Yes.
Because that's just odd. I don't understand. Well, first of all, also I don't know why she's always watching him, and the length that she goes through to do it is interesting. So that's. At least I want to get a solution to that. I want to know where that goes. I don't really. Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's your only point of intrigue,
right? Just kind of like, okay, who's Sophie and why is she acting so weird?
Well, I'll just tell you, she does like odd things every episode, and there's like no clear reason.
She's just like comic relief.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There's an episode earlier where she like reveals she knows quantum physics, but she also can't like spell words properly.
Okay.
But then she can like spout out definitions of words. There's a scene earlier. I've brought this up a few times in the podcast where Maddie says like, we need to get rid of that vermilion, Emma, and then Sophie says, I think you mean vermin. Vermilion is a bright color red derived from the vermilion root. Blah, blah, blah.
Interesting.
It spells out the whole definition.
But the writers went out of their way to say we have to have this character. So
yeah, I'm
not sure.
I mean, aren't you glad they did?
Oh yeah, it's a redeeming quality of the show. Yeah. So far, at least I'm 22 minutes in. So
I mean, it's like every scene with her like has you guessing like what.
Yeah, what is she? Yeah, what's the purpose? I don't understand.
Like, what do you want? And the principal's like, how do you know about witches? Well, and Julio was like, well, I thought I didn't believe they existed at first when Julio told me, but then I was like, well, I exist, so why can't they? And then I thought about what does it mean to exist? And are we really here? And then the principal was like, and then what? Like cutting him off. Then I ate some nachos and stopped thinking about it.
Right. Yeah.
which is great. And then it's like, but what are you gonna do to me now that you know? Oh, nothing. I love doing the impression of the principal's voice. Like it's so exaggerated. Nothing. I won't do anything to you. I just want you to know in case you need someone to confide in.
Right. Yeah.
And then then Sophie awkwardly waves at Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And well, she earnestly waves at him, and he's like awkwardly waving back, but like trying not to let the principal notice.
Right.
And then but then she shifts on the wall, and like she knocks a post or like a frame askew, and like the principal hears the sound but doesn't immediately like jerk her head to the source.
Mm-hmm.
She's like turns her head a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you heard a sound over there, wouldn't you instantly be like, what was that?
Right. Especially a picture moving.
Yeah, but Diego has enough time to like distract her. Like, I'll show you my powers. Let's leave the room.
Yeah.
And he stands in front of Sophie, and well, Sophie's disguise is good enough that when Diego is standing in front of her, she doesn't notice.
Right. Yeah.
But then they leave the room. They go to get the cafeteria water, and Diego says that's the best water to freeze.
Mm-hmm.
He was just looking for something to say, really.
Mm-hmm.
To fill conversation time, and because he's probably scared.
Mm-hmm.
But then they leave the room, and then Sophie staggers forward like, oh, that was exhausting, standing up against that wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, and then they call me weird.
Right.
Sophie's got jokes.
Yeah.
And then, meanwhile, Andy puts on a spy act. This is great. She's wearing sunglasses and like sneaking around.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, Emma, I need to talk to you like under the wire. My phone can be tapped.
Mm-hmm.
And then Emma's like, well, Andy's like, we shouldn't be here. And then Emma is like, I'm not skipping school with you to play Middle Earth Domination 4th edition or 5th or 6th.
Yeah, and then Andy interrupts her and goes, 5th's the best.
The 5th edition is so worth it.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, the principal is cray-cray in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
And then look what she did to me, shows her webbed hands.
Mm-hmm.
And then Emma laughs. I mean, no, it's not funny. I mean, I thought they were cool at first, but they're not very practical. And then Emma, we're like, I think I know where I get my bad sense of humor from, because Emma's like, yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. Terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. and I'm like, I'm with you, Emma. I love bad puns too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's one of Emma's most endearing moments. Like, hey, terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then Andy's like, seriously now? But she also is able to show like, well, how'd you get away from the principal? Same way I got to school this morning. The Hexerin.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hexerin has now been Andy's ride.
Right. Can you imagine how slow she got to school on the hex?
And it would have been great if Andy said, like, well, I got to school like 30 minutes late, but it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I'm on a slow-moving hover book.
Mm-hmm.
And then Emma fixes Andy's hands, but then she quickly misses them, and then well, in a great moment, Andy says, "Well, you know the saying, extrañas las manos serranas, uno es que las pierdes." Everyone misses their webbed hands once they're gone.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and Emma says, I speak Spanish, and I've never heard that. Or that's not a saying. And that was interesting, because I remember that scene thinking, like, with all the choices they could make, like, what is that character development they're doing? Like, or is it just a clever idea they had for a quick little giggle? But again, no soundtrack. Yeah. I mean, no laugh track.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of falls, like, it's just silent.
I mean, I found it funny.
Yeah.
Just like she was like, as they say in Spanish, says nonsensical phrase. Mm-hmm. But that's not a saying.
Yeah.
I like that personally. And then they go to class like nothing's wrong, as apparently Lily said too. Like, if I'm ever like this, if anything ever goes wrong, just go to school like nothing's happened. And then they decide to keep the Hexer with them until after the eclipse. Emma mentions the eclipse, and then Daniel's like, "Oh, what did you hear about the eclipse?" But then Emma just freaks out, like, "Oh, I heard about the eclipse. How do you know about it?"
For a new person watching, I have no idea what the eclipse is. They're talking about, and like why everyone's worried about, all the witches and the guardians are worried about it. I have no idea.
So it's the only time when the chosen one's powers can like be taken via magic ritual. Like other witches can like try and steal the chosen one's powers, but she actually has to defend them.
Yeah,
it's like
maybe it's normal for a series show like this, or
it's like the ticking clock, you know.
Yeah, like to not really go back and explain to new, like they just assume everybody knows. There's a lot of, there's a lot of they're relying on the audience of the new episode to have remembered all this stuff.
Yeah. I'll give you some background. This when this was coming out, like every season was a month-long event. Like every episode would drop like one day after another, like weekdays. Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, over the course of a month, and that's how it went. And so like you could be trusted to probably remember what happened the previous day, you know, which that's not a space any of us are in right now. I mean, unless you deliberately do that. So, that's why getting people's reactions is a lot of the fun for me anyway. I love hearing your commentary.
Yes. Yeah, just trying to absorb it all and think about how I think about it is interesting.
Exactly. And but Emma's like really high strung, like, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, I heard about the eclipse," you know, because it's just a normal thing that happens in real life.
Right.
But she's like, what'd you hear about it? Oh, it's all over the news. It is?
Right.
And then Andy has to calm her down, like, he's talking just about the normal eclipse, Emma, where the sun covers the moon.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Sorry. And then Andy and Daniel argue over the semantics of the eclipse. No,
right.
It's actually a lunar eclipse where the Earth covers the sun. Then
right. Yeah.
And because Daniel is knowledgeable, and I need you to know that I know that.
Yes.
And but then Maddie butts in, and like right when Daniel is asking Emma if she wants to like watch the eclipse with him, like make that a date, you know. And like, I need to interrupt this now, and then a hilarious bit happens. Like, was I hearing right, or was Daniel asking Emma out? And then Katie does the best bit. She's like, "Can you hear me?" Yells directly in her ear.
Yeah. Your ears are okay.
Yep, you just heard what you thought you did.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then is this when I guess Daniel and is it Andy?
Yeah, they
have
both
to go up and give like a class presentation or something.
Yeah. But they appear to just be reading cards, but like, and I mean like reading like the Gettysburg Address, I think. So they go up in front of the class, and Maddie casts a spell to make Daniel sound like a helium voice.
But I didn't get any. She cast a spell on Daniel because she believes that Daniel is interested in
Emma.
Okay. Yeah. So all the powers that she has as a witch, she chooses to
just cause a bit of mischief.
Just cause a little bit of mischief just for fun.
Yeah.
And to embarrass him.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
You know, because she is just, like high school evil. And the principal is real evil. That's actually a line from earlier.
Yeah, I guess if you're like a young witch, your spells kind of match your level of maturity and knowledge, right? So you're making his voice pitch up like on helium is the maximum torture that she can imagine right there.
Yeah.
Or like turn you into a frog, like that's historically.
Yeah.
Something that happens. Okay. All right.
Yeah. She she doesn't think of like a cast a spell like nuke Russia or something. She doesn't think to do that. She's
No.
like, I'll make your voice sound weird.
Right. Yep.
For a little bit.
Right.
It's like, so she casts a spell to make Daniel sound helium pitch, and he's like, so he's giving the presentation. Our fathers brought forth, and your nation conceived in liberty.
Yep.
And the teacher and everyone is like weirded out, like, can you stop sounding like that?
Right.
She's like, not trying to.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a very silly scene, like, fitting of what this show is, like, and Andy's like, what are you doing? Nothing. and the teacher thinks that Daniel's mocking her.
Right.
Yep. And of course he's like a goody two shoes kid who would never. So he's
right.
like, no, I'm not trying to.
Right.
Seriously, Daniel, cut that out. And like, are you making fun of me? No.
Yep.
So then Lily cut. Okay, was there a good enough transition here? Cut to Lily coming back through the lockers.
No, not at all. All of a sudden, like the next
cut,
the next frame in this film is
bright light.
Somebody coming through a locker. Yeah.
The portal to the magical world.
Right. Yeah.
And Lily comes back and she's like, "Whew, that's over with." And like magic dust is settling.
Yeah.
And then Julio comes in and is like, "What was that?" "Oh, Julio, hey, these lockers, they're rickety. They're always about to fall over."
Yeah.
"No, I saw them actually like move."
Yeah.
And they closed like automatic.
I saw a gap
doors.
between the lockers and it closed. Yeah.
Like automatic sliding doors. And then she's like, "What? Your eyes just must be playing tricks on you."
Right.
And then it must be a portal. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Right. Like you. It would be normally think something's a portal if you thought you saw something you didn't see. Oh, it must be a portal.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if like out of context, he just sounds like a crazy person.
Right.
But then he's like, "Cut the charade, okay? I know, and I know, Which was a great line with perfect delivery.
Yep.
I know, and I know,
Right. Yep.
That was supposed to be like a joke.
Right.
Or was it that? No, that was like said with like complete seriousness, actually. Like, why do you have to make it like funny wording like that? And then Lily confesses that she's a guardian because he gets right up in her case. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm a guardian," but then they have a conversation about like, what do you like? Oh, she knows that I'm a powerless witch, and how does she know? Well, I told her. Well, and then she's like, "Well, you're really close to your mother, aren't you?" And then he's like, "No. Well, you think I'm some kind of mama's boy? I'm my own man."
Yeah.
Very convincing.
Yeah.
And then, but then he falls for a bit of reverse psychology.
Yeah, right. He does.
It's like the easiest trick in the book, and he falls for it. Because he's kind of dumb. Because I know who the witch is. It's Emma. And then she's like, "Right, wrong. I mean," and like sounding unsure of herself. And then he's like, "Oh, then it's Maddie then." No.
Right. Yeah.
"Oh, we've been after the wrong girl the whole time. You thought you could trick us."
Yeah.
And then it totally works. Because then the next scene when the principal comes in, she believes it too.
Yeah.
Like,
she does.
Like we thought it was Emma, but I guess we were wrong. Because Lily, pulled the most basic psychological trick possible. And then Lily's like, "I hope I bought you a bit of time, Emma," like to herself.
Yeah.
And so Lily packs up to leave the school and escape, and apparently the council took away her protection. meaning that the principal could get to her without consequences now. And she tells Andy that the principal is a chosen one. And it's like pretty confusing. Like what?
Right.
So the chosen one for each generation. That's what we're left to think anyway.
Yeah.
So but now of course Emma's the new chosen one. So the principal blows down the door and Andy hides under the desk. And throughout this whole scene, the principal doesn't notice that Andy is in
right.
there.
All these magical powers, and she can't sense that somebody is right there. Legs sticking out under the desk, everything.
Yeah. But then so she turns Lily into a frog. Like, you're gonna meet your army of flies. Ha ha ha. I don't get it. But then she turns Lily into a frog. Yeah. And that's why the episode is called Lily Frog.
There you go. And now we don't know what's going to happen next.
And it's like, bum, bum, bum. And Andy watches as now Emma's guardian is gone. Yeah. And the principal is bearing down on the situation. Bum, bum, bum. And that's where we leave off on this episode.
Yep. Lots to absorb.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for somebody coming in green.
Yeah, green like a frog.
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting me experience that for the first time with you, Raina.
Absolutely. It was so much fun to have you on, and I know you were a bit
lost.
Blind, lost, like what this would be like.
But can't wait to hear about what happens to Sophie, and her oddness.
Yeah, don't worry. She continues being a fun presence throughout.
Okay, that's great.
So we'll have that to look forward to, and the resolution of the season. We only have a few more episodes left in this season, and then 3 more seasons after that.
Okay.
So you'll get to hear me talk through it all. So if you just are patient with me. So I'm grateful to you so much for coming on, Steve. It was so much fun to be with you.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
And for everyone listening, follow the EveRe-Watch Way Facebook page. Share it around. And to everyone that you know, fans of the show, of the series itself, and to people that you know, and follow it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe on YouTube. Give it a like, give it a 5-star review everywhere you can, and stay safe. Have a wonderful week. Happy New Year, everyone. And finally, best magical wishes.